The silence came first. A crushing, absolute quiet that swallowed the ringing in his ears and the crackle of burning jet fuel. The kind of silence you only hear when the world decides it is done with your noise. Elias Thorne was a man built on control. A private pilot, a seasoned hiker, an obsessive planner. But in the tangled wreckage of his single-engine Cessna, control was a forgotten concept. He was alive. His leg was broken. And he was nowhere. The mountain, it came out of nowhere. Wide out. I should have checked the barometer one last time. Just one last time. He was stranded in the Yukon, thousands of square miles of unforgiving forest and granite. His flight plan was a whisper in a dispatcher's ear 6 hours away. His survival began not when he hit the ground, but when he realized the terrible gravity of his situation. The search would start too late. The air was freezing and the sun, what little there was of it, was starting its slow, agonizing descent. The plane was a crumpled tomb of aluminum. His first, most desperate instinct was to find his phone. The tiny, useless brick in his pocket. He knew it was hopeless. Line of sight communication was a myth out here. The mountains were giant, unmoving blockers. But the sheer panic of isolation forces us to cling to the familiar, even the impossible. He held it up, watching the no-service notification mock him like a silent verdict. We talk about food, water, and shelter and survival. But the one resource that matters most is communication. Because without it, you simply become a part of the wilderness. This is not just a story of survival. This is the definitive manual on breaking the silence. This is how to signal for help when stranded in the wilderness. Elias found his go bag miraculously thrown clear. His hand closed around a small plastic whistle, a last-minute clearance bin addition to his kit. He lifted it to his lips, inhaled a ragged breath, and blew. Beep. Was pathetic. He blew again, harder this time. Beep. The sound barely carried 50 yards before the dense forest floor, the moss, the pine needles, the granite, absorbed it. He kept blowing until his lungs burned, his face slick with sweat and frustration. He was wasting his most precious resource, energy. Mistake number 1, audibility. The human voice or a cheap whistle is a fragile signal. You can only shout for so long before your vocal cords give out and your energy is spent. Rescuers rely on sound that cuts through noise and distance. They rely on the universal language of distress, the rule of threes. Whether you have a dedicated air horn, a whistle, or even a firearm, the pattern is key. 3 short, distinct signals followed by a pause, then repeated. A whistle, 3 short blasts, 3 long blasts, 3 short blasts. A shrill, consistent sound carries better and differentiates from natural noise. A proper survival whistle is vital. Cheap plastic models will fail you. Firearm, 3 shots spaced 5 seconds apart. The pause allows anyone within earshot to locate the direction of the sound. Improvised noise. If you have no whistle, use what the wilderness provides. Rhythmically clanging 3 rocks together or banging 3 sticks will create an artificial sound pattern that draws the human ear. Elias collapsed against the cold, jagged edge of the fuselage. He realized his initial panic had been his greatest enemy. He discarded the plastic toy. Instead, his eyes fell on a piece of salvaged metal, part of the cowling. He picked up a stone and, with renewed, controlled effort, began to strike the metal. Clang, clang, clang. A rhythmic, artificial sound, repeated until the rhythm was a prayer. With the audible signal working to conserve his voice, Elias shifted his focus to the greatest challenge, visibility. The ground signal is your insurance policy, your permanent message. If the plane was reported missing, search and rescue aircraft would be flying grid patterns, but from thousands of feet up, a solitary human figure is invisible. Your job is to make a symbol that screams, emergency. The SOS, the International Distress Signal. 3 short, 3 long, 3 short. The X, the Universal Distress Signal for, we need medical assistance. Elias began to clear a patch of earth near the most open area of the wreckage. The surrounding forest was dark green and brown. He needed contrast. He worked meticulously. He used contrasting materials. White, bleached sticks from the wreckage. Dark, black mud and ash from the initial fire. He laid out the letters, then measured them with his body. This was the critical mistake survivors often make, making the sign too small. The standard, each symbol must be a minimum of 6 meters, 20 feet, long, and the width of the lines must be at least 1 meter, 3 feet, wide. Maintain the 1:6 ratio. Elias used the largest logs he could drag, lining the base of his letters. He stamped down the snow and filled the trenches with dark green fir boughs, contrasting sharply with the surrounding white. He was not just arranging debris, he was carving a statement into the planet's surface. Next, the most potent tool in his arsenal, reflective signaling. On a sunny day, nothing beats the signal mirror. A single, well-aimed flash can be seen for dozens of miles. If you don't have a mirror, polish any shiny object. A belt buckle, a piece of broken aluminum, or a canteen cup. The technique, the aiming trick. To aim the flash at a specific target like a distant aircraft. 1. Hold the mirror toward the sun. 2. Hold 2 fingers up in a V or peace sign, just above the mirror. 3. Catch the reflection of the sun on your palm or between the 2 fingers. 4. Slowly move your hand until the target aircraft is exactly between the V of your fingers. The light will now be directed at the aircraft. 5. Flash the SOS pattern, 3 short, 3 long, 3 short. Elias, to himself. 3 short. 3 long. 3 short. The flash felt weak against the vastness of the sky, but he knew the laws of physics were on his side. Light travels further than sound. The sun was dipping below the tree line. Visibility was plummeting. The only effective signal in darkness or low light is fire. But not a campfire, a signal fire. The universal fire signal for distress. 3 fires built in a triangle or a straight line, separated by about 25 meters, 83 feet. This pattern leaves no ambiguity. It is the language of "I am in grave trouble." Elias did not light the fires yet. He prepared them fully, a pyramid of dry tinder and kindling, ready to light with a single match. A signal fire consumes fuel rapidly and must be reserved for the moment a rescuer is nearby. The fire is not the signal, the smoke is the signal. You must create contrast with the background. You want black smoke. Black smoke is unnatural and easily spotted against a pale sky, snow, or desert. To achieve it, add man-made materials, rubber, synthetic fabrics, oily rags, or plastic from the wreckage. You want white smoke. White smoke is produced naturally by smothering a large fire with fresh, green, leafy vegetation, moss, or green pine boughs. The damp material will burn slowly, creating a thick, white plume. Elias found the shredded rubber tire. Black, thick, and oily, perfect. He placed 3 piles of it near his 3 prepared fire pits. These piles were his smoke bombs, only to be deployed when the fires were roaring and the aircraft was spotted. The day was turning to twilight. Elias, his strength nearly gone, crawled into his makeshift shelter. He had established a continuous signal with his ground SOS, and he had his night signals, his 3 fires, ready. He conserved his energy. He waited. The sound was distant but unmistakable. An engine. A plane. Not a commercial liner but a slow, methodical prop plane. A search plane. Elias scrambled out of the shelter. They're here. They're here. He grabbed his lighter and ignited the tinder in all 3 fire pits simultaneously. As the flames rose, Elias threw the rubber and oily fabrics onto the heat. A column of thick, black, noxious smoke erupted, punching a hole through the evening mist and climbing hundreds of feet into the pale sky. 3 columns of smoke. The international distress call was sent. No, don't go. The plane kept going. It had flown directly over the area but was turning away, flying its grid pattern. Elias's heart plummeted. The smoke, the fires, the effort, all for nothing? Then the plane banked hard. It was circling. It had seen something. It had seen the SOS carved into the ground. The pilot was unsure, but he was performing the universal SAR procedure, circling the area to confirm the signal. A circling aircraft is a tentative aircraft. The pilot has seen your signal but needs confirmation. Now you must use your body to send the final, unmistakable message, the ground-to-air emergency code. I need help. Stand with both arms raised high above your head in a Y shape. The Y for yes, help is needed. No/negative. Stand with one arm straight out to the side, and the other pointed straight down, forming an N. Elias stood in the flickering light of his 3 fires, his broken legs searing with pain. He forced his arms up, his body trembling, forming the perfect, desperate Y. He held it steady. He held the pose that said, "Yes, I am here. Save me." The wing waggle. The universal nod of rescue. The pilot had seen him. The signals had worked. Elias was rescued hours later. He survived the crash, but he was saved by the knowledge that extended his voice and vision when his own strength failed. His initial panic, the weak whistle, the reliance on the useless phone, nearly cost him everything. The lesson is this: survival is not about luck. It is about control, contrast, and consistency. It's about respecting the rule of threes, understanding the science of light and smoke, and preparing a signal that is too large, too loud, and too contrasting to ever be missed. The wilderness doesn't care how tough you are. It only respects how smart you are. The search for a missing person can take days, but the difference between a tragedy and a rescue can be made in the first 3 minutes. Don't be caught unprepared. Equip yourself with a PLB and register it with NOAA. If this story reminded you that preparedness is the ultimate survival tool, hit the like button. Subscribe for more stories that arm you with the knowledge to survive the impossible. And share this video, because the next life you save might be a friend who needed this one critical piece of information.